Previously on the Unemployed Diaries.
I was laid off from my job and I don't have a clue what I'm going to do next. Moving into digital marketing or social media management, it is still weird being in a different routine. I was having a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of self-doubt, try to start my own business, which is something I've always wanted to do. I just keep reminding myself, the universe gave you this chance. Everything is happening for a reason. I'm exactly where I am meant to be. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. Welcome to the third installment of the Unemployed Diaries. So before I start doing some of my editing work, I thought I would just chat with you and give you a couple job search unemployment updates. And then later in the afternoon, I'm gonna answer some of the questions you've been asking me in the comments on my videos. So the first update is about the unemployment assistance. I was approved for that, so I have been getting unemployment checks every week for the past maybe 4 weeks now. So that's really helped reduce my anxiety because now I'm getting a consistent paycheck and some sort of income coming in. The unemployment assistance will last 26 weeks, so that's 6 months. The second update that I have is the health insurance situation. I mentioned before that I was feeling a lot of anxiety and feeling nervous because I wasn't sure what I was going to do for healthcare. So I applied on the health insurance marketplace and I was approved for that. So the only thing I have to do is pick my plan. I am 99% sure of what plan I'm going to go with. I just have to double check it and then add it and make the choice official. And then I believe they'll send me like my health insurance card and it'll be effective for April 1st. So having those two things figured out has definitely reduced my anxiety that I was feeling the first month and a half, 2 months of being laid off from my job. So the third update is just the job search in general. I have applied to 20 different jobs. I have had about 5 or 6 emails back saying, thank you for applying, but unfortunately we're going to be moving forward with other candidates. Other than that, I have not received any phone calls. I've not had any interviews. So I am still searching. Most of the jobs I've applied to have been entry-level marketing jobs. A couple of them have been similar to what I was doing before in health insurance. And then 1 or 2 of them have been customer client focused. Although I have experience as an operations analyst and I have a lot of experience in the health insurance industry, I have been trying to stay away from applying to those jobs just because I really do want to try to switch careers into digital marketing. I also did not really like the industry that I was in, and to be honest, I didn't really like being an analyst. And since it's still early in my job search, I am not putting a lot of energy into applying for jobs like my previous position. Now, eventually, if we're a year down the road and I don't have a job or some sort of income coming in, then yeah, I probably will have to apply back into the industry I was just working in, but that's pretty much my last resort at this point. The fourth update is the Google Digital Marketing Certificate program that I'm taking on Coursera. This week, I am starting the fourth course in that certificate program. There's a total of 7 courses, so I'm a little bit over halfway. I am hoping to finish the fourth course by the end of this week or in the middle of next week, and ultimately finish the entire certificate program by the end of April. Once the Google certification program is completed, I do have a couple more programs that I want to complete and a couple more certifications I want to get. So like I mentioned in my March reset video, I want to do the Hootsuite certification. HubSpot has a couple classes. SEMrush has a couple classes, and Meta also has a couple classes as well. So over the next couple months, I plan on taking quite a bit of courses just to build up my resume and get me more experience in digital marketing. So that sums up all of the updates that I have for you on my unemployment job search journey. I'm gonna get started editing this video that you're currently watching, and then later on after my lunch, I'm gonna dive into some of the questions you've been asking me. Good afternoon, everyone. So I did some editing, I had lunch, kind of hung out a little bit, and now I'm going to answer some of the questions that you have been asking me over on my channel. I have them written down in my phone. Joining me is Toulouse. He's going to hang out with me while I go over these with you. One of the first questions I was asked was to explain a bit more about what I meant by corporate masking, or kind of having to not be yourself in a corporate environment. And I believe I mentioned this in my original I lost a job, now what video. I think I said something along the lines of not being ready to put on like a mask to do an interview. So what I meant by that was, I feel that in corporate America or in an interview, you can't really just get to the point. You kind of have to professionally say certain things. There's also the whole side of corporate lingo or jargon. For example, the word bandwidth. I hate that term. If you don't know what it means, I'm gonna give you an example, and this is how I heard it in my experience in the corporate world. Someone asked me if I had the bandwidth to do something, meaning did I have the time or energy or capacity to do it? And I just hated it. Another thing that I've heard people say when they're referring to their job is in the trenches. They're comparing their office job sitting in a controlled environment to trench warfare, which, to be honest, is pretty ridiculous and also insensitive, because trench warfare is absolutely horrible and nothing like sitting at a desk for 8 to 10 hours a day. So the fact that people could even use that term referring to corporate America is just, I think it's kind of offensive, to be honest. I don't understand why we need to have corporate terminology instead of just saying what we mean. And when I was speaking about that before with an interview, what I was referring to is a recruiter, a manager, whoever's interviewing you asks you why you want this job, this role, etc. And the obvious reason is that I want this job, role, etc. because I need a job and because it fits some sort of parameter. But at the baseline of that, it's simply because we need a job, because we need money, and we need money to pay for a roof over our head, food, shelter, clothing, etc. But you can't say that. You have to go in and say, well, I want this role because your company does X, Y, and Z, or I feel it would be a good fit, or whatever. So you do have to put a professional spin on it, and I get that. But sometimes I wish that we could just be more real. So at the time of filming that video, the thought of having to go into an interview and present myself in a professional manner was something that I just couldn't wrap my head around at that time with everything that I was feeling. I also feel that in the corporate world, with their lingo and even their documentation, that employers are using a lot of words that don't even really have a meaning. So for example, in yearly performance reviews or goals, instead of getting just straight to the point and saying, hey, you need to have these soft skills, you need to have these hard skills, you need to know this system or program, you need to do X, Y, and Z to hit your goal or to get promoted, they write these goals for you or give you performance reviews with all this fluff and all these words that don't really mean anything. So I actually pulled up ChatGPT just to kind of give you an example of what I mean. I just asked, can you give an example of corporate jargon for employee performance goals? And this is what ChatGPT gave me. It says, maximize KPI achievement through actionable deliverables, leveraging synergistic collaboration across multidisciplinary teams to drive bottom line results and foster a culture of continuous improvement. And that's just an example from ChatGPT, but that sounds very similar to things that I've heard in the corporate world over the past decade of my experience working. And like I said earlier, it's a lot of fluff and a lot of jargon that doesn't really mean anything to me. Like that sentence, if that was one of my performance reviews, I would be like, okay, so can you just tell me exactly what I need to do? Can you just be more straightforward instead of putting words in there like actionable deliverables? Really, all that sentence means is to work together as a team across different departments to achieve whatever goal the company has. I wish that corporate America as a whole could move past all of the jargon and lingo and just get more blunt and straight to the point and be a little bit more humane and let employers and employees be more real and authentic with each other. Moving along to question number 2, I was asked about how I was coping with my mental health, and I did go over some of this in the last episode because I was feeling a lot of anxiety and having a lot of negative thoughts and self-doubt. But I also mentioned that I was trying to stay positive, and that's one of the biggest things that I have done to improve my mental health, not just in this situation, but even prior to losing my job. So even though I was having anxiety and freaking out about being laid off, I was still trying to think about it in a positive perspective. Instead of seeing this situation as, my life is ruined, this is terrible, how am I ever going to find another job, oh, woe is me, I decided to see this as an opportunity. An opportunity to work on my YouTube channel, an opportunity to start a new career path, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to create a side hustle. I also took it as a sign to finally switch my career into digital marketing, which is something that I have thought about for the past couple years and just never made a move on. Even though losing a job can be very stressful in a really bad situation, I think it's important to still look at the positive and try to see it in a positive light. So before I give some other examples and advice on coping with mental health, I do just want to say that I am not a professional, I am not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, and if you are really struggling, I urge you to seek professional help. I am just sharing what has worked for me based on what I've experienced. Another thing that's really helped me through this situation is just knowing how I want to spend my time while being unemployed. So even though I had no clue that I was going to get laid off and I wasn't expecting it at all, it was a complete shock. I actually still had a plan on how I would spend my time if I ever did lose my job. And the reason that I had that plan was because back in my mid-20s, I lost a job. And I spent a lot of that time being unemployed, just having fun, going out with my friends, shopping, going to the bar. And looking back on it, I felt like I really wasted my time and I didn't do anything productive. And I just spent the whole time having fun. So I made a vow to myself that if I ever lost a job again, that I would be more productive. I would focus on my YouTube channel. I would use the time to start a side hustle business. I would use the time to learn. So although I think it's important to take time to have fun while being unemployed, I also think you should look at this as an opportunity to be productive. I think it's just as important to use this time wisely to be productive, learn a new skill, or use this time to improve your life somehow. So a third thing that has been really helpful in this situation is to have a good support system. And I realize that this is out of my control and probably out of your control as well. But having a really supportive partner and supportive friends has really been a huge deal for me. So my friends watch my YouTube videos. They always tell me that they're so proud of me for what I'm doing. They're always keeping in touch with me, asking me how I'm doing. My partner is always telling me not to worry about things. He is no problem taking care of a few extra things if I need it. So that's been really wonderful. I also have talked to people throughout this situation who have not been as supportive. So those people have tried to tell me what to do. They've been pushy with their opinions or have cast doubt over my career plans and goals. So I have dealt with that by simply just not talking to them about it. I have found that it's just easier to shut down a conversation about my career goals or plans with someone that's being negative or unsupportive because it's not worth the energy to try to prove myself to others. No one needs that negative energy in their life, so it's just easier to shut it down and to not talk about it with people that you know are going to be that way. Last two rapid fire mental health tips that I have are to be kind and patient to yourself and to remember that this situation is just temporary and something new is going to come your way. So another question that I received is finances, how much I'm spending, how I'm dealing with the financial burden of not having a job. So I'm actually going to switch over to my computer and pull up my budget to explain that a little bit more to you. So this is my budget sheet, but for legal reasons, I cannot show you my income. So if I do scroll up to that, I'm going to blur it out, but I can show you what my budget looks like and how much I am spending. So I have not entered everything that I have spent in March yet. I actually need to update this sheet, so I'll just go over February. So the rent and utilities is split between my partner and I. We also split groceries as well. So this is what I'm going to just be paying for my portion of rent and utilities. So that's basically the same every single month. So $363 for rent, about $400 for groceries is what I typically budget for. Utilities is $250, and then this is just my cell phone bill. I also budget for my subscription services, so I do need some subscriptions for my YouTube channel like Epidemic Sound and Adobe Premiere Pro. This also includes Netflix or any other subscription service I might have. And then this is my student loans that I pay every month. I have a category for clothes, which I will have to update because I won't be purchasing clothes anytime soon unless I absolutely need to. I have a miscellaneous category for random purchases, household items, food and drink. So this is outside of groceries, like I go out to eat or I go and order a coffee. And then I never factored in health insurance before because it was just taken out from my paycheck. But starting April, I am going to have to factor that in. I believe my total payment is going to end up being like $210. So I just budgeted for the highest amount possible, but I believe with the plans that I picked, it's going to be much cheaper than this. So I do have a section for health stuff like skincare, vitamins, etc., just because I want to track how much I'm actually spending with that. So we're going to look at what I actually spent in February, and February is completely finished. So we did go over a little bit in groceries. We ended up spending $445. So we shop at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and I do get a lot of feedback, specifically negative feedback about Whole Foods being expensive. And to be completely honest, I have browsed other grocery stores, and I feel like at this point, Whole Foods is pretty comparable to the two other grocery stores that are available in my area. Also, I am a foodie and I love cooking, and I think that Whole Foods has higher quality products than other grocery stores in my area, so I'm personally okay with paying a little bit more. Also, we typically always shop sales, and we have a Prime membership. So anything that's on sale at Whole Foods gets an additional discount if you're a Prime member. And then rent and miscellaneous stuff. So I did go over this budget quite a bit. My utilities I was under, and health stuff I went over. Subscriptions I went over, and then this was food and drinks, so I went over that. Student loans were lower. Cell phone was the same as it always was. The taxes were lower than I anticipated, and then the household items I did go under budget. Even though I went over budget for quite a few things, I only spent $2,138. So when I lost my job and I started looking at budgeting for the rest of the year and how long I could go without working, I factored in spending $2,500 a month just to be on the high end of things. So that's pretty much how I'm budgeting for the rest of the year, to stay in a budget of between $2,000 to $2,500 a month. And I'm just gonna pull up the examples for February. So let's look at the subscriptions because that was high this month. Okay, so these are the subscriptions that I had for February, and I have been making an effort to cut back on these. So I have the New York Times cooking app. I use that a lot to cook with, so I probably won't get rid of this subscription. It's only $7 a month. So Scribd is an e-reader audiobook service. I am currently listening to an audiobook on this, but I think once I finish that, I am going to cancel this for a while. This is an Apple subscription. I'm pretty sure this is for YouTube. So Canva is what I use to create my thumbnails. I do tons of stuff in this, so this is one that I'm not going to get rid of. Netflix is $13 a month. I pay for this myself. I don't split this with Kevin, but I think we are going to split this because of my current situation. So this is my YouTube subscription. It's $20 a month, and I pay for the premium services because I use it for music, and then of course I watch a lot of YouTube, being a YouTube content creator. Kiddle is similar to Canva. It's just something that I wanted to try out for a sideline business that I'm looking into. I think I might cancel it though because I don't think I like it too much. I just wanted to give it a try. Sales Samurai, this is for Etsy, part of like a side hustle business I'm looking at. Might cancel this one as well. Adobe Premiere Pro, this is what I use to edit my videos. Obviously, I can't cancel this one, so that's going to stay. Quip is my toothbrush refill, and I get that every 3 months, so that one's going to stay. Epidemic Sound, that's $18 a month. I use this one all the time, so I'm not going to get rid of that one. So a couple of these I can cut out, like the Kindle, and I'm not sure what this one was for Apple. I'll have to look that up. Obviously, I made a note that I need to, and I never did. So a couple of these I can cut back on to save some money there. So just highlighting a couple other expenses. I did pay for the Google certificate courses. I did get financial aid for it, but I still had to make a payment. So I did go out with my friends, and this is the result of that. So I ended up spending some money here because I went out for breakfast. This is something I had planned before I lost my job. This is another expense that's not going to be regular. This was just to get new planners. This expense is my hair products, and I get this subscription every 4 to 6 months, so I won't see this one again for a while. So these are the shared expenses that Kevin and I split. I have a complete other spreadsheet for shared expenses that I am not going to show you, but I just total them up at the end of each month. Then these are a couple random things that I got. I got CeraVe ointment, refill for my pen. I got ashwagandha root supplements, spirulina supplements, and I bought 2 new tripods for my phone. I am going to return this one though because I ended up not liking it, which is why I got the second one. These 2 supplements are going to last me about 3 months, so this isn't going to be an expense that I'll be seeing all the time either. So back to the budget dashboard, I have factored in $2,300 worth of spending for March. I have not put any transactions yet. And then for April, I have budgeted for $2,258. And again, this is with the high insurance, but it's going to be more like 210. So I'm actually going to change that now. My estimate for the remainder of the year, what I basically need to survive is $2,118. As long as I stick to this budget, I should be able to go about a year without a job, and that's without touching my savings account. I do have a 4-figure savings account, and I'm really hoping that I don't have to tap into that. However, if I did need to and I wasn't able to find a job within a year, I could probably make it another couple months just on my savings alone. I know that there was some questions about how I was dealing with my finances and the anxiety around it, and I do have a little bit of that, but since I know that I can make it a year or so without a job, I'm honestly not that stressed about it. I realize that I am very fortunate to be in that situation, and not everyone is going to be that lucky. Once my unemployment runs out and I literally have no income coming in, if I have not found a full-time job, I am more than likely going to do some sort of part-time work just so I have extra money coming in, even though I could make it without doing that. So even prior to losing my job, I have always been very conscious of my finances. I track literally every single thing that I spend and put it in a budget. And I've been doing that for the last several years. I made sure I built up an emergency fund. I also try to buy things that I need when they are on sale. When it comes to grocery shopping, I typically only buy things that are on the weekly sale. Always try to make side income, so I sell stuff on Poshmark, I sell my old clothes at the consignment shop, and I scan all of my receipts into the Fetch app to get points for a gift card. So those are some of the things that I have always done to be mindful of my budget and my finances, and those are things that I'm going to continue to do while I'm being unemployed as well.